We're celebrating spring right here in the kitchen. And you know what? Today we're going to do quite a few things. And we're just going to take our time today. We're going to look at some mail that I got, a few packages, a couple of things that I purchased and that I think you might be interested in. We're also going to do a small curbside pickup today because I stepped away from the kitchen for a few days, and we're going to do some cooking. So stay right there. As I said, we have several things that arrived while I stepped away from the kitchen. So I have opened them, so we'll save a little bit of time, but I want you to see some of the things I picked up and why I did those things. Now I have my Yeti here full of ice cold water because we want to make sure that we get all the water we need for our bodies each day, and my Yeti helps me to do that. Now guys, I am showing you my, this is my setup for my lamps in the house. And I like to put them on a remote control so that it's much easier to keep up with how to turn them on and off. I don't have to walk around all over the house. Now, I like these little remote controls. I started using them several Christmases ago. And you know, it just happened that I left a few in the outlets and I went, oh, I can use those for the regular lamp. Well, guess what? I got ready to use them and I could not find my remote. So I went online trying to search for the correct remote. Could not find a remote that worked with the ones that I had already in the outlets. So I went to Amazon and I ordered 3 more so that I would have my 3 remote controls for my lamps, because I always have one that's here in the kitchen and I have one that's in the dining room. I have them in the living room. You know, I think every time we start to talk together, the phone always rings. What's up with that? I think they have some way of knowing that we're trying to do something, and that's the time that they call, and it's usually something that you absolutely don't want and people you don't even know. But anyway, I won't digress. So I have 3 remote controls. I have a company now that I can connect with and get another remote control should I need it. So that's a good thing. So I have all of those. I am going to get those plugged in, get them into place, and I'll be ready for these to operate. So that was one thing that came while I was gone. The other is that I don't know how many of you get your copier ink online. I set up an account. I have an HP printer, and I set up with them my wireless system so that anytime I need ink or get close to needing ink, they will automatically send whichever cartridge it is that I need. Now I have, this one just happens to be the one for the tricolor, so I have a cartridge for that. And I also have the cartridge for just the jet black. Now, the cool thing is that just because they send it at that particular time, your printer may not be ready. So you have to wait until your printer says that, say, jet black is almost empty and you need to replace it. And then you'll have your cartridge ready to put into your printer and ready to go. And you know, it's very reasonable. I pay a very, very, very small fee based on how much printing you do. Now, for me, most of the time, I probably stay between 100 to 200 copies a month, usually closer to 100. But you know, there are busier seasons when we need more like 300. And so if that's the case, say I'm printing cards or letters or whatever, then all I have to do is go onto my account, make that adjustment. They'll make the payment adjustment. If I need additional ink, they'll send it automatically to me. And then when I'm ready to go back to that 100 or 200, I can downgrade it, and of course it lessens the amount that comes out. So this, the printer and HP are able to talk to each other, which is so nice. Now, at the beach, I have a printer that is old. That's the only way to put it. It's older. I've had it since, I had it before I retired. And unfortunately, because of its age, I am unable to set up the same process for that printer that I have with the newer one that I have here. And so because of that, I go to HP or I give them a call and say, hey, I'm running low on ink for my 1250. And so they will give me the best deal that they have and ship that right out to me the same day. And I just continue to pay my fee, whatever it is. And if I set up a yearly deal with them, then they will make the cartridge available to me. Usually the least that you get is like one every 6 months if you don't use it very much. But if you use it quite a bit and you're printing the 300 or more, then they're going to send those cartridges to you a lot faster. So HP has a great deal on cartridge ink, and it is much cheaper than what you would have to pay in order to purchase it just at the store. So, and it's been easy to get because in spite of the pandemic, you know, during the pandemic, I went to a store to get ink for the other printer and couldn't find it. There was not a cartridge to be found. And that's because at that time, everything had shut down, it was quiet, but you know what? HP took care of me. And so this is a great opportunity and a great deal to have. I set up a curbside pickup this morning for just a few groceries, and we are going to go pick those up. Now, if you remember, let me take you back to the beginning of the month. When we were at the beginning of April, end of March, we went through and we did our one plan and 1 month and took a look at that. And I have a listing of all of those menu ideas and those kinds of things if you go to that video, and I'll link it below. But I also did one major shop, and that was to make sure that I had the things in my freezer, in my refrigerator, in my pantry, or even in my laundry room that I needed. And so that was what we did. I did the haul for you, and so that was done. I stepped away from the camera for a little while on a little spring vacation. And while we were away, I did a little bit of shopping because where we were staying, we had to pick up a few little grocery items. I did a little bit of cooking, and that was fun. But most of the time, we ate out. So let's take a look at today's pickup. I needed some Raisin Bran Crunch, a little milk. I have my fresh produce listed out of those things that I'm going to need, and I needed more coffee creamer. And that's all I need to really get me through the rest of the month. And so I'm going to sit down later today. I'm going to decide on what we're going to have for this week because I haven't quite had a chance to do that this morning. And I'll take a picture of that once I have it all laid out. I set up a curbside pickup, and we're going to pick that up today. So let's get in the car, let's get ready, and let's get those groceries.
planning, cooking, and decorating are the things that I do in my kitchen all the time. And if you like those types of things, I invite you to join the Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme family, because this is where we work hard, we love God and family, and we know without a doubt that everything else is just gravy. So, right now, go down to the subscribe button and click on it. Also, while you're there, tap that little bell icon so that every time I upload a video, you will know. Also, you may also go down into the description box and take a look at some of my favorite Amazon items. And I list those types of things all the time because as I use them, I invite you to use them also. So, there's a nice running list of things there.
And now the work begins. I'm running just a little bit behind schedule, so you're going to see that I have gotten everything into the house and we are ready to get everything unpacked. I'm doing it as fast as I possibly can. I've got cereal, I've got creamer, and all those good things that I showed you in the list. And as you can see, it's not a lot. You know, normally I have groceries on just about every surface in this kitchen. But today, that's not the case. So we're just taking out mainly fresh food because, you know, those are the kind of things that when you step away from your kitchen, those are the things that you typically have to replace. I lost those green peppers. They went flying across the room, so I had to go get them. We've got broccoli. Oh my goodness, all of these things that we will need to put away and have ready for the refrigerator. So everything's pretty well out. I'm going to give you a close-up of what it looks like. Now notice, I love Snuggle, and I like the spray version. It's a fabric refresher. And what I do with that is that when I'm changing my bed, I give it a fresh spray of Snuggle and allow my bed to stay open for at least 2 or 3 hours just so it can refresh, and then I change the sheets. So let's go. It's time to cook. So let's cook with me. So the first thing that I'm doing is I had new onions, so absolutely I need to get a few onions sliced up. I want to put some in the freezer for the rest of the week. So I'm going to do as much slicing and dicing right now that I possibly can. So you can see I'm zipping right along and putting those right here on this little cutting board. Now, I am going to place them into about a 2-cup container. So I have my bowl, and in my bowl I've placed some milk, and I'm going to crack in 1 egg. I'm going to take this 1 egg and I'm going to beat it well. Now I'm going to bring over some salt and some pepper so we can season it at every level. So I'm putting in a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper. Now tonight I'm using a seasoning flour. And there's the egg mixture. Set that there. Here's our flour mixture, and as I said, I'm using a seasoning flour. This is Kentucky Colonel seasoning flour. I'll give you a close-up of that. And I won't need the whole package, but I'm going to get some of it, about half. And you know, we can always add more if I need it. Now this seasoning packet, I promise you, is perfect. We don't have to add anything else to it. So I'm going to take my pork butt, the first one, out. I'm going to dredge it in the seasoned flour, My hands are clean. And dredge it on each side. Then I'm going to put it in the egg mixture. Flip it over. And I'm going to put it back into the seasoned flour. Just flip it over. Make sure it gets well coated. I love Kentucky Colonel seasoning flour. Very often I use it, and I just mix it with another batch of regular flour, just plain flour. But I'm not doing that tonight. I'm just going to use it straight. And so that's done. And this is going to take up most of the skillet. So I'm going to put in one at a time. So there's our first one, ready for the skillet. The skillet is hot, and we're adding that in. Now I'm using a large skillet because hopefully I'll be able to get some of this into the skillet. I'm going to do side one. As I said, we may need to add more, but hopefully not. I'll be able to get it all done. These are always so good. So I'm going to dredge it in the egg and milk mixture. Get it well coated on side one and side two. All right, let's get this into the flour. Now I'm going to take a little bit of that flour. Let me rinse my hands 1 second. Okay. We're going to add just a tiny bit more flour, just to make sure it has a good coating. And this I'll be able to add that to some regular flour, and that will stretch it a little further. I'm going to let that sit there for just a moment, get my hands clean again, and then I'll take you over to the skillet. This is the box of the Kentucky Kernel seasoned flour. And when you find it in the store, it's going to be in the flour section, and typically it's on top of the shelf. Now, we have prepared pork butt steaks before, and this is the way the big guy likes them. He likes them fried rather than placed on a griddle. And so while those are frying, I am taking I'm going to say almost 2 cups of onions that we cut and sliced. I'm putting them into a half stick of butter that I melted, and I'm adding salt and pepper to them. And I want those to just start cooking down. And I could have thrown these into the oven and done it from there, but I decided, hey, I'm working on top of the stove anyway, so I might as well put it right here and get things going. So I'm enjoying that moment of putting all of these things together. I'm really enjoying just having you in the kitchen with me. So I'm going to look at those pork butts and see if they're ready to flip over. And you know, it takes a little while for them to get to that point. And in the meantime, I'm stirring up the onions because I want them to be just a tiny bit golden, but I don't want them to burn. So we do have to keep check because I have butter. Now I'm adding a little bit of that granulated garlic that you saw earlier. And that's because I added a little bit of granulated garlic to the pork butts. And so I want things to blend together. And you know, we purchased broccoli. So I took my broccoli, put it in this 4-cup container, and I just kept putting water on it to just make sure there was no grit or grime in the broccoli, because sometimes grit will hide in the broccoli. So you have to soak it for a little while. So that's what I did. I soaked it for a little while, poured off the water about 3 times, and now I am taking those hot onions and laying them on the broccoli. Now guys, I don't know about you, but I do not like soggy broccoli. I want it hot, but I do not want it soggy. So because of that, we are doing it right here. I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm making sure that I move it around because soggy broccoli is not what it's all about. Now, so I've kind of changed your angle so you can see the broccoli is just about ready. At this point, I'm taking it off the eye of the stove because I don't want it to continue cooking. And so I'm just about to take those pork steaks out. And as you can see, they are nice and golden brown. I'm going to place them on some paper towel so that they can drain. How pretty. Now, I know you're thinking, oh my goodness, is she going to eat all of that? Well, let me tell you, half of this pork butt steak is bone. The very top of it is just about all bone. I'm giving you a close-up of the broccoli, and it is delicious and beautiful and green, and there's our pork butt steaks. Yummy. So now it's just about time to fix the plate. And you know what? The big guy's hovering, so I know we're ready. So I'm going to take 1 pork butt steak. I'm going to place the other one on the second plate. And then we're going to be ready to put the vegetables on. Our broccoli is hot. The onions are hot. And this is our we're going to have our veggies. There we go. We want lots of veggies. So I'm taking vegetables and placing them on each side so that you'll have a little bit of vegetable, a little bit of onion, a little bit of steak, and ready to go. Now that's a colorful plate. There's the big guy's plate. I'm about to bite quickly into mine. Oh, yummy, yummy. And then you know, I'm going to disappear and go see the big guy.
I have certainly enjoyed your presence. Blessings to you and to yours.